welcome, dude.
Thank you. Thank you.
I like your or your hoodie. Is that the new one?
Appreciate it. Yeah, I actually just got it in yesterday. I don't
Oh,
know.
sweet.
It's nice. Like I like the design of it and everything, but the actual texture of it isn't great. It's a little rough, but like if you're playing in this, it'll definitely take a few BBs and you should be fine.
Right. Yeah, it looks cool,
Mhm.
man. I like it. I saw when you
Thank you.
posted it on the Discord. I think that's what
Yeah.
I commented on, actually. That's what I.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah, yeah,
was.
yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to get into this whole merch realm, but it's hard. It's hard trying to find something that I like, and I'm not trying to do just like some low quality stuff. So I don't even know if this will actually make it to the shelves. It may just be for me at this point.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I'll create something and then I'll order it and try it out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. So what I used to do was I didn't know, I was so fascinated with setting all this up in the
Hmm.
beginning a few years ago that when I found out about like Teespring and all these, drop ship kind of
Right.
services,
Hmm.
I'm like, oh shit. Like once you load your logo or whatever picture you want to use, um, it'll put it on a bunch of different items, I'm like,
Hmm.
fucking pillows? What? Coffee mug? I'm like, I'm adding all kind of shit on there, dude. I was like, my store had just a bunch of random shit. Beach
Hmm.
towels. I was like, look at this. This is cool. Uh, and I'm like, oh, dude. So I finally whittled it down to a hoodie, a t-shirt, and a coffee mug and a hat. So
Okay.
it was too hard to keep up with all this other like, because the designs were not good.
Hmm.
Um, I'm just not good at it. So,
It
uh,
is. It is hard to keep up. And it's like, I mean, anything that gets shipped out will be handled by me. So
uh,
having to do all of it by myself would really suck, which is
sure.
why there's only like a few things that you can buy. Less to manage. Keep it simple.
Right. Absolutely.
Hmm.
So, you are the head of, or you started CSL.
Yes. Yes, I
Okay.
did.
And your name's Keegan. Uh, I am Eric.
Nice to
And
meet you.
thank you. You too, man. I go by E-Rock on our YouTube channel. It's a
Oh,
nickname I
okay.
got years ago. Yeah. But so anyway, I wanted to talk to you because I've been hearing about your ranking system and your tournaments and everything
Hmm.
quite a bit lately because I started talking to a lot of speedsofters here in the last 6 months or whatever.
Right.
Very interested in it because I didn't know anything about it before that.
Hmm.
I've seen it, here and there, but I didn't know anything about it. I knew mostly about the milsim stuff. So once I started seeing, talking with people about the Speedsoft stuff, I remember one of the first guys I talked to, I said, so who's like the best uh, Speedsoft team, in America? Once I started finding out there were like
Hmm.
real teams with real tournaments
Right, right.
and and they were like, well, there's this one, there's this one. I'm like, yeah, but don't you guys have like a tournament, like a final national tournament kind of thing, like in the end to see who's the best?
Hmm.
And they're like, well, not really, because the East Coast and West Coast they do their own thing, but nothing in the middle. So uh, anyway, I've been very curious
Hmm.
about the ranking system that you started, and then I guess the West Coast stuff and how you guys do you have any plans in the future to do something like a Super Bowl or a national kind of final mashup of teams?
Yeah, yeah. I've it's a process for sure. Um, and I mean, at some point in the future, I do want to get to national leaderboards, and then move that into an actual national championship, pull teams from everywhere, so that way it's not just like, oh yeah, we're the best from this area. It's like, nah, dude, you're either the best of the country or nothing.
Right.
Um, but it's just a process. So right now, I have, well, for next year. we will have events literally from Florida all the way up to Rhode Island. So
Oh shit. Okay.
yeah, it's gonna be really good. I'm super excited. It's the biggest expansion that we've had so far,
Okay.
and we're gonna be tapping into a lot of different communities and teams that have never played in the CSL as well. So I'm curious to see how they kind of attack the situation.
That's
Um,
cool. So this will be the first year that you're doing that broad of a. Okay.
mhm. Yeah, and with the ranking system, it's not like groundbreaking or anything, but what's nice is to see, your progression throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
Is with, some other formats, you don't really get that. You don't know where you stand. And then someone just says, "Hey, we're having a championship, this is where you're seated." You're like, "Okay, well, why the hell am I seated here?"
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's been one of the nicest things that we did in this past season. Um, is kind of just posting them after each event so people know. All right,
Right.
well, we're this far ahead. That means we have to hit the next event to catch up in points, or, we got to change our gameplay to be a little bit more aggressive. And I like that aspect of it. I mean, people that actually delve into it that far, it does make it more of like an official sport instead of some dudes who are slinging BBs for no reason, you know?
Right. Well, it gives it legitimacy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I and that's what I like about it because from my standpoint, I'm kind of an outsider. I'm not really. I've never played airsoft.
Mm-hmm.
I've only ran the channel. I played paintball years ago, but I've only ran the YouTube channel and then started doing talking with people here in the last year. So I was like when I started looking around online to try to see, oh, like who's the best team, because a lot of it right now is word of mouth.
Yeah.
So I've seen the names of these teams, but they're really like regions,
Mm-hmm.
different, like what you're doing, and what Speed QB is doing on the West Coast, I guess. And so I'm searching and I'm going, well, who's like, where's the, how do we know? Uh, so anyway, I was really curious. That's really where a lot of these questions came from
Mm-hmm.
was as I was, talking with more and more people, and so the more of the speed softwares I talk with, at the end I would ask them, okay, if you could play on any team, who would it be? And I would
Mm-hmm.
hear a couple of the same ones, Murder Inc. or SYG, and then Lobo actually said LTD, and I had never heard of that one. I'm like, oh, so I looked them up, and so because he liked their play style and that kind
Mm-hmm.
of thing. So I started learning about all these different teams. I was like, man, I would love to see a uh, a ranking system that's combined for all you guys
Yeah.
throughout the whole country, and see a national tournament kind of play out, and what that
Right.
would look like.
I know the Syndicate Union, they're on the West Coast as well, but they John, he came from the paintball world too.
Okay.
And you know, it's he's using a more in-depth ranking system. So he has players who have their own individual player card, and then their stats are logged into that along with their team stats. So it's
Okay.
a little bit more in depth. I don't have anything that far. I mean, I could definitely pull stats like that, but it's just a lot of like me
Oh,
looking
dude.
through all the scorecards to see,
Yes.
who's got penalties or how many matches you're winning. At the end of last season, I had put it in our Discord to show like what the win rate for certain teams was,
Yeah.
um, how or the likelihood of a team getting the flag first, or how many player kills they were getting in each match. And it was really really interesting to see how it all turned out, because I mean, to an extent, the teams that ended at the top of the leaderboard, you're like, okay, it makes sense that their numbers are higher, they're performing better. But then you would see some of the teams in the middle of the pack who are like, damn, their kill percentage is super high, but their win rate is like through the shitter. You're like,
Really.
how is this happening? And
Yeah.
it's simple mistakes, You have the objective has always been, grab the flag at the center, take it to the other side. And what you'll see is some teams, they'll think all the bodies are gone, right? They're not keeping count. They'll go to grab
Right.
that flag at the center, and then next thing is just bang, bang.
There you
Yep,
go.
that's
Yeah, they
it.
peek out.
Um,
Okay.
so I would like to put more information out there. It's a lot of work, and I'm lucky enough this year that my buddy Ryan, he's coming on board as my right hand man, and
Okay.
then Den is going to be my video guy once again. So
Nice.
hopefully things will be a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. It's a lot you're taking on. That's and that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you because I admire what you're doing and
Thank you.
trying. I saw the video on your YouTube channel. I want to say it was a year ago, 11 months ago, something like that. As far as what it's listed on YouTube.
Hmm.
And somebody was interviewing you. You could hear somebody asking a question to you, and you were
Hmm.
answering. Kind of set up that way. The way the video was. It was very interesting, and I loved how you were your goals for what you're doing for CSL, and I thought that was really cool. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what is coming in the future with you guys and what you're putting together. But it's definitely a lot of work. You remember, uh, when I was growing up, baseball. Everyone played
Hmm.
baseball or whatever. It was like when you're little kids. When you get to be about 10 or 12, you start noticing like the coach has a kid sitting on the bench doing all
Right.
the stats.
Hmm.
And remember those baseball booklets or whatever
Yeah.
with the
Yeah. Yeah.
tiny little fucking squares? It was like a grid.
Yeah.
Um, that is a ton of work. So when you're telling me this, about player cards and all the stats, I'm thinking, oh my God, no, there's too much going on for one person to try to keep track of.
Oh yeah, it's exhausting to say the least and
Yeah.
extremely stressful. But it I guess it's definitely brought on by myself. Like I enjoy the work that I'm doing, so I don't mind, going out of my way to figure out all these stats and whatnot. And even when players ask about a few things, actually the Murder Rink guys with how the penalty system is changing next year for us, and the
Mm,
NSL's penalty system's like pretty extreme as well. They wanted to know, hey, how many flags got thrown on us last year? So I have to delve back into the scorecards and say, all right, this is what your total is, and it puts things in perspective.
right.
Because I mean, you can't really make those mistakes, especially once we get into a more quote unquote professional competitive scene.
Hmm.
Like you're under scrutiny from everywhere. People are going to be watching you from different aspects, not just teams and players, but spectators as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of like what really excites me is getting to that spectator aspect of the game. Once we can grasp that, that's where
Hmm.
I think we'll take off a lot.
Right. Yeah, it definitely needs more exposure.
Hmm.
Paintball, if you walk down the street in any city, most big cities in America, if like on a weekend or something and ask people,
Hmm.
hey, you ever heard of paintball? Just random people, even old people, like,
Yeah.
oh, my grandson played it one time.
Hmm.
You talk to people about airsoft, like most people don't know. They don't
No.
even know what the word is.
Hmm.
So yeah, it definitely needs more exposure. But did you grow up like how long have you been playing airsoft? What got you into it?
I I never know how to answer this question because I can never keep track. So I remember the day I started playing. I have
Yeah.
no idea what year it was. So somewhere in the 5 to 7 year range is where
Yeah.
I've been playing. Um, yeah, it's actually kind of a funny story because I wasn't allowed to have any sort of gun, anything. I couldn't have a little
Where'd you
cap
grow up?
gun. In Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's so my mom, she was trying to, you know, take us away from any sort of influence as she could. My dad being in the military for 30 something years, She was
Oh,
like, you know
okay.
what? I don't want you guys going on deployment, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're not doing any of this.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Makes
um,
sense.
yeah, no Nerf guns, no water guns, no cap guns. I had a stick at one point. Maybe my hand, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, once I got out, it was much easier to try and be like, all right, this is what I'm going to start doing. And I had a buddy who invited me out to our field tactical airsoft arena in Rockville, and yeah, that's all she wrote. That's all she wrote.
Hmm.
I remember going,
No,
I think 2 weeks later, and I bought my first pistol, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm ready to
nice.
fuck things up. I'm good.
So then that was your first time. Was it a like speed soft kind of like indoor?
No, no. I mean, yeah, it was indoor, but it was
Yeah.
all CQB stuff. I
Okay.
never really played outdoors until a couple of years later, and then I nothing like crazy. I've never done a milsim op. Doesn't mean I don't want to. I definitely want to experience the milsim side of the sport. Um, Definitely intrigues me. I like camping, so like, why
Yeah.
not?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, how did your first game go? Did you get smoked?
Um, yeah, yeah. I remember actually going to sleep that night and having like partial PTSD. And I remember like waking up real fast and I was like, oh my God, what's going on?
You're like,
um,
what?
no, really. But I mean, once I got past the first, I think probably 2 or 3 times getting rid of those jitters, and I was good. And I'm super hooked. Super, super.
Yeah. Obviously. I mean,
Mhm.
you're taking it to the next level. So you're definitely definitely in it.
Yeah, for better or for worse. Can't go back now.
No, man. No. Yeah. And that's, I think sometimes that's the scary part is, when you go from spectator, player to, you know, what is the next thing, right? Like
Right.
tournament player, right? You keep going up if you want more of the experience. And once you get on an actual team, like if you're an individual player, when you get on a team, now it's like, oh shit, like these guys depend on me, like,
Hmm.
okay, I can't just do what I, just play at my whim or, or play how I used to play or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I got to get better. I want to get better because I don't want to let them down. And now doing what you're doing, it's like, oh shit, now people rely on me. I got to keep these rankings going. I got to post all this stuff. So, in fact, how often do you update the what is it? It's on a website, on your
Yeah.
website. Okay.
I was really bad this past year. There was just so much going on. Because this last year, I think I ended up doing somewhere around 13 events. Um, Between April and August.
Jesus.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was more than tiring to say the least.
Right.
But yeah, no, I try to get at least the top 10 for teams in total points at the end of every event. So within a
Mm,
week or two, trying to post
gotcha.
something and say, hey, this is where everybody's standing. And then once that goes up, there's messages left, right, and center. Hey, I don't see my team on the leaderboard. How many points do we have? I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, let me go look this up real quick. I'll let you know.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sure. Yeah, because there's so how many so if you did 13 events, how many teams are involved in I guess in each event?
So last year our average was 12 and a half, rounded to 13, why not? Um, and all those events weren't 5v5s either. So we did five, um, five 5v5 events. And
Hmm.
then there were, what, six, seven 1v1 events, a couple of testing events to figure out how things were going to go, and then some qualifiers and a championship for that as well. Um, and that was a whole. I tell you what, like once you start organizing, you you would think everything would operate about the same,
Yeah.
but it's so different. It's so different. Running one of the 1v1s was actually more stressful than trying to run a fives event. Like
What?
it, there was so much more I had to worry about. Like there was different game modes for each round, and trying to make sure all the props are in the right place.
Holy
I had to
shit.
get footage for it, so making sure that I had cameras ready, or if I had Den with me, making sure he's in the right spot. Yeah, that was way more stressful. The fives, man, I'll do that shit in my sleep, no problem. It's just become like a nature for me at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
something like you don't have to, once you get it set up, like for the fives,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to really change anything for the next round or whatever.
Nah,
Or the next
everything
match.
everything kind of runs itself, you know.
Yeah.
And what's nice is we have enough core teams that they know how everything operates.
Right.
I mean, I still get like, when's my team playing? And it's like, look at the bracket, you know. But it other than that, like everybody knows. All right, if I'm on deck, I should be standing by the field, and you know
Right.
I got to be at check-in at this point. So they've made my life way easier when it comes to the day of, for sure.
Oh, I'm sure. And they want to play and they want to, so they don't want to miss their time or whatever. But so how at the field when you have, a tournament set up, how do you bring like a whiteboard or something, or do they have a board at the field that you can
No,
put the lineup
so
on?
what I mean, initially I just printed out a bracket and was like, "Hey, go look at
Yeah.
the front desk. This is where it's at. We'll update it when we can."
Oh yeah, smart.
But this year I got hip to a website called Challenge, and it's really easy. You just type in the names, and
Yeah.
it auto generates the bracket for you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so all I have to do is send the link out to the teams. On the day of, I typically put the link on my story so people can just click in and say, okay, this is where everyone is. This is where the matches
that's
are.
awesome.
But the biggest gripe I have with them is not with the players, but with the website is I wish it would just say like playing now on deck and in the hole,
Yeah.
because I mean we're all airsofters. Not all of us have played competitive sports.
Right.
And reading a bracket, although it may seem like intuitive and very easy to read, if you haven't done it before and you win your first game, you see your name move over, you're like, oh shit, I got to get ready again.
Right.
So it's just a matter of like getting people to learn how to read brackets, and I'm changing it on everyone again next year because we're moving away from just a standard double elimination bracket, and we're gonna run it kind of like the World Cup. So you'll have a group stage and then the bracket stage.
Oh, okay.
So I can't wait to get more questions for that. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole other set of teaching all these teams or players,
Right.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot to balance because, like, how do you put out information, right? When you come up with these things, like, what would be the most efficient way to put out information? Like, you can put it on your website, but somebody's got to actually put it on your website.
Right.
And if that's you running the website, that's extra. You're still doing the work.
Exactly.
Like, what do you do? Send out a blast message, Well, now you got to type up a fucking 2 pages of shit. Like,
Right.
I don't know, like step one. And then if you forget to type something in there, like, bro,
It's like,
how do I end
by
all
the
these
way, here's an
questions?
update. I forgot this yesterday, but here it is now. Don't hate
Update
me.
to the update.
Yeah, right.
Holy shit, dude.
PSSS.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is. It really is. I mean, it sounds like you're getting, you're definitely fine tuning what you started. You
For
know what I mean?
sure. For sure.
Because
Everything's
of
becoming more
you're
refined.
fixing, yeah, it's just like anything else. Once you start, unforeseen things because you don't know what you don't know, and then
Right.
somebody goes, "Oh, what about this?" You're like, "Shit, oh yeah," and then you add it. Yeah, you're able to keep up with it for a little bit.
I can't tell you, like, the day of when someone says something so obvious, and I'm just staring at him like, you're the smartest person alive. How could I not forget that we need referees for a game? That's a really good point.
No shit.
Not that that's ever happened, but it's stuff like that where it's just
Right.
like, dude, how? I mean, when you're this close to a painting, you can't see all the detail, you know.
Yes.
And I'm super close. I mean, that's why I got glasses. Um, but no, refining always. There's always something to learn. Any fields that are out there right now, and you're watching this, if you can have a TV near your staging area that I can connect to, you are a godsend. Because then I don't have to worry about sending it out to people. Like everyone can just see it on the screen. That would be awesome.
No
That would be
shit.
awesome.
Yes. Yeah, I wonder if there's like a way you could I mean, a laptop is really small as far as like having your own screen.
Yeah.
You could bring a projector. But that, man, those are so most of them are really antiquated or just fucking hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what's kind of nice right now, with the era of airsoft and actually how quickly things are changing.
Hmm.
Fields are getting more well equipped, and a thing like a TV isn't out of the question for their staging area.
Yeah.
Extreme Airsoft, Lenny, Danielle, love you guys. They've done a great job, and they actually have a few TVs at their staging area. One you can connect to throw the bracket up, and they have I think videos
Nice.
on the other ones, which is great. I mean,
Yeah.
they went so knee deep, like good God, like they've done so much for the sport. I
Hmm.
can't share my
What field is
appreciation.
this?
Extreme Airsoft in Rhode Island.
Oh shit, yeah. God,
Yeah,
I've heard them like about them a ton in the
yeah.
last few months.
I mean, they've done a lot. They have. I
Okay.
mean, to put things in perspective, last year we were going up there, or let's even take it a step back. I went there at the beginning of this year, 2022, and played in a little practice event they were doing. I just wanted to scope out how things were going, whatnot, and they had just like moved stuff on their public play field and just kind of like use what they had for a tournament setup. And I was like, all right, cool. Like this is what we've done down south. Like, sure, why not? And then I get a text from Danielle saying, "Hey, by the way, we're building a whole new field. Hopefully, it's done by the time you come here for an event." And I was like, "Oh shit, cool. Why not? Like, let's do that." And within about like 2.5, 3 weeks, they literally took an open format and built an entire field with windows, somewhere around 25 different barriers, a staging area, and they still weren't done. Like they still had more they wanted to do. They've
Yeah.
done so much. It's a great
That's
field.
wild. Yeah, when I talked to Honey Badger not long ago,
Mhm.
I've talked to him, I don't know, a handful of times, but it he was he made the trip up there for the anniversary.
Yeah, so not to cut you off, but
No,
I'm
go ahead.
so mad at him. So he
Oh shit.
he sent me a message. I mean, it's actually quite hilarious. I sent him a message, or rather, he sent me one. He was like, "Hey, I'm coming to EA Fest. Are you gonna be there?" I was like, "Hell yeah, I'm gonna be there. I'm not gonna miss it." And he was like, "All right, cool. I'm driving from Texas," and I was like, "Holy shit, you really like being in pain." So, enjoy your drive. Hopefully, you're safe. And the whole weekend, we were next to each other a handful of times, literally standing next to each other, and had no idea it was him. He had no idea it was me, and we never spoke. And
What?
then the photos came out for the event, and he was like, "Get the fuck out of here." I was like, "Yeah, man. Like, this is ridiculous. You are literally playing against me in one game." I even dapped him up. I'm fairly confident. And yeah, we never spoke. So
That's
good times.
crazy. Holy shit. Oh my god. I mean, were you wearing something that had CSL on it?
Yeah.
What? He was just so taken aback with everything going on in the
I
field.
mean,
He talked
yeah.
about that field, like he was so impressed with that field.
I mean, honestly, right now it's El Dorado. So I'm not surprised. I'm really not.
Yeah. Yeah, no shit. Okay. I really need to make it up there. Everyone I've been talking with has talked so highly about this field and how it's set up.
Hmm.
I really want to go up there. Of course, in that area is a lot of people I've had on the podcast that I haven't met in person yet.
Hmm.
So I would love to see, everybody up there. But yeah, we had, let's see, EA Fest. Um, we had something going on. Well, it was a 15-hour drive
Yeah.
from here. I'm in South Carolina, and I said no, that's nope.
Hmm.
So yeah, and I think we were going. I can't remember what weekend it was that we went to. It wasn't long ago. We had a mill sim, and I was gearing up for that. But anyway, yeah, I definitely want to make it up there and check it out. So do they set up when they were building this? Um, do they just like as far as design goes?
Hmm.
Is there a specific tournament style setup that when you run your tournaments that the field has to be set a certain way, or are they different based on wherever however the field's set up?
I mean, some of the fields vary in size, and
Yeah.
I'm not super picky. Um, you know, this year coming up is the first year I won't have an event here in Maryland, simply because of the size. It just can't accommodate what we're rolling with now. But um, as far as I know, the standard size for a tournament field is 100 feet by 50 feet, which is pretty large. I mean, that's 5,000 square feet dedicated just to a tournament field, and some fields aren't even that size. So it's a little rough. But
Gotcha.
SpeakUB really should take the majority of the credit here because they've talked to different fields about getting something set up. They have a standardized bunker list and setup, or like in terms of measurements and whatnot.
Right.
I'm just the guy swooping in and using the field. I do make new layouts for each event. I like to switch it up. And playing for me personally. This is nothing against anyone else out there, but I personally get really bored of playing one layout for an entire season.
Right.
And you can learn so many things. So like if you play one layout in that first event, in theory, you should figure out what your main strategy is and how to improve it before you get to the second event, because you learn all your mistakes through your losses at that event.
Mm.
Um, and I would rather keep people on their toes and level the playing field by changing the layout every event, and then you can't complain about like, well, they've already played on this layout before,
Oh
or
yeah, good point.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, if you change it up, where each team has not played on that, make it new for everybody,
Right.
then it is a level playing field.
Hmm.
Okay.
And I took it a little bit further. You know, NXL, they put their layout 2 weeks before their major events.
Oh, okay.
And then those paintball fields, I mean, they already have the full line of bunkers or inflatables. They set it up for their pro teams, and then their pro teams are practicing on that field for 2 weeks. And I'm
Right.
like, no, because there's not everyone has access to that field right now in Airsoft.
Hmm.
So my layouts aren't sent out until the night before the event.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want anyone practicing, honest.
Right. Well, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that's a hard. Yeah, because you don't want all these fields, and I'm sure these fields don't want to be locked into a standardized, just boring. What would be boring if it never changes.
Hmm.
This one setup all across the East Coast, where there's all these tournament fields that are just this one exact setup. I guess it would be. I mean, if you're gonna have a national, Super Bowl of airsoft, then it's going to have something like that to be, to eliminate that variable, so that
Hmm.
okay, the team won. They're definitely the best skilled, or on that day for sure.
Hmm.
But yeah, that would be tough though to balance because most airsoft fields, they want to accommodate all these different things, and then so now you're talking about either having mobile stuff on the field to move around every time there's a tournament,
Yeah.
and then switch it back for weekend play where people have groups and come in and young kids and
Hmm.
whatever, like, to make it fresh and new for everybody. It's a lot of friggin' work.
It is. It is. And what's been kind of nice, well, more than kind of nice, what's been really great about the community up until this point is players are willing to help.
Hmm.
Before an event, players will very often be like, "Hey, Keegan, you guys need help moving things? You want me to sweep? Like, what do you need?" Like, dude, just be a player, enjoy your time here, and kick some ass on the field. That's all I need you to do.
Yeah.
Um, but it is really nice because when we have scrimmage days, we'll have two or three teams that are at the same field, and everybody's like, "All right, well, let's make this layout. We'll move stuff." And everyone is helping. It's not just like one person trying to do everything.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, sure, they want to help. I mean, everyone I've talked with, this whole airsoft community in general is very, um, I guess, accommodating to, especially to like new players and all that.
Hmm.
Uh, a lot of them don't forget how like how they felt when they started.
Hmm.
So when I was talking to one of the guys in Japan, he said the first time he went to indoor, he went to indoor field, whatever, which is mostly what they have over there.
Hmm.
He said, I went, it was shitty. He goes, I went home and I wanted to quit. I never wanted to play again because it was so, I had such a bad experience.
Hmm.
So the next time my buddy talked me into going again, I went to a different field, and he said, the people there were so like, they were talking to me. They were like, oh, what do you need? What do you help? But the first field, there was a bunch of guys that were really experienced and were
Hmm.
trying to like, almost like a tournament, but it wasn't official.
Right.
So they were really serious about playing. They didn't really talk too much, and they didn't, kind of accepting, kind of bring him in. And the other field did, and he was like, okay, I could get into this, and that's how he stuck with it. But yeah, it really does make a difference with the community and how helpful they are and willing to chip in and
Hmm.
welcome players and help on the field or whatever.
It's kind of crazy too how fields can end up having that sort of environment where it's not that welcoming. I mean, I totally get it to an extent, like especially if the majority of the players they are vets, and you're really worried about like not worried, but you're trying to prep for the next game or
Right.
whatever. I could understand why people might be a little bit more standoffish, but you also have to kind of like remove yourself from that situation and realize that if we don't have more people coming in, then we are just slowly bleeding out.
Uh-huh.
So I mean it I haven't really run into a field just yet that's been like, nah, this is our thing. Um, you can have a seat over there.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't
Right.
had that yet. So I mean, yeah, the majority of people are pretty welcoming and want to chat, which is great. I do like that. I'm an introverted person myself, so I'll just sit back and listen, and I'll chime in when I need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was one thing that helped me getting started too. There was a lot of people who would just have a simple conversation like, "Hey, what are you running? Like, how do you like it? Have you ever thought about this? What team are you on?" Like, it's simple, small conversation does go a long way for new players.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, that helps. That's well, when we started our channel, I had already had a couple of YouTube channels before I started the airsoft one,
Hmm.
and I've talked about this before where when I started posting videos on here, I started getting a bunch of comments. Like people were interacting with on the video. I'm like, what? This is, odd, because I had a cooking channel. I had a fucking, and I don't cook. Okay. My daughter was, I forced her to do this cooking channel with me because I needed something to do.
Mhm.
My son, him and I were doing a review, just
Okay.
a review channel, and just like random shit. He's like, well, what are we going to review? Because I talked him into doing it with me to
Mhm.
give me something to do. And I was like, I don't know, grab something out of the kitchen. So he comes back with a spatula. I'm not kidding, man. Just so I'm going to tell you the funny part about this channel. We once I talked him into it, I said, okay, we need a cool name. So we called it CNR Reviews. So his name's Colton. So Colt and Rock. So Colton E Rock,
Mhm.
Colton Rock Reviews. And so then we came up with a logo, and it was a skull and crossbones, okay, with some guns in it. No shit. And we're reviewing like all of our videos are kitchen shit, like household items, like cleaning sprays.
Right.
Oh, fucking one of those food processors.
Mhm.
So, I remember somebody asking us. We went out to like breakfast or whatever one time, and we had hats made and shirts,
Yeah.
like polo shirts, with our
Mhm.
logo on it for for our videos. So we're sitting down with that because we had done a video that morning, and the guy asked us that was serving us, said, "So what? Oh, what is that? And we had the website on the back and shit.
Mhm.
We're like, oh, it's a review channel. We started a YouTube channel. And he's like, oh, shit. Oh, that's cool, man. What do you guys review? Guns? Because, the logo. We're
Right.
like, no, kitchen stuff. It was it was almost embarrassing, but I was like, whatever, fuck it. But anyway, these review channel, the reviews, you'd get a couple comments here and there, but not a
Right.
whole lot of interaction, like, oh, how do you hook up that, PC speaker, whatever. Um, but then the airsoft thing was like, we got flooded. Just all these people from and this is before I knew anything about the airsoft community.
Mhm.
Um, I was just starting to learn about airsoft guns. My son, two of my sons started playing. So, I started getting all these comments, and I'm like, what what happened? Like, this is wild. Like, we
Yeah.
have 10 views on the video and 10 comments. I'm going, what? And then more and more and more.
Right.
It blew me away. So the airsoft community, I started learning really quickly, was they're very excited about airsoft in general and the airsoft community.
Mhm.
And it's fucking really cool to be a part of it, to be honest.
It is. It's definitely rewarding, to get the feedback, and people are more than willing to give it, whether it be good or bad.
Sure.
But you gotta start somewhere, and yeah, you're right. They're very welcoming. They're
Yeah.
very welcoming.
Now,
It's
what
great.
would, as far as this coming year, so are you guys, you only have what, just a couple weeks left in the end, till the end of this year.
Yep.
Do you have any tournaments set up for the rest of this year in the next few weeks?
No, we just had an event this past weekend.
Okay.
Um, shit, was that this? Yeah, it was this past week. I had to think about it. The days are meshing. I
I'm
swear.
sure.
But we had an event this past weekend that was just a fun event. We did a pistol and shotgun night at the Rockville field, and it was a blast. We did 3v3, nothing serious, just super relaxed, which is nice because everybody gets so uptight when you're at a tournament. It's like,
Oh,
dude,
sure.
just relax, just have fun.
Yeah.
Go shoot some BBs and get off the field when you get in. That's all I need from you right now.
Yeah.
But we're not going to have anything for the rest of this year. We'll probably have a few more of those come the end of January and February. But after that, I mean, damn, it's crunch time. Got to
Okay.
start prepping everything. I mean, our first event won't be until April.
Gotcha.
But when it comes to this, I have forced myself to become a prior planner. The whole season's already done. I'm working on layouts right now. I'm
Wow.
trying. Yeah, I'm trying to
Good
get.
for you.
I'm trying. So if you can't
Yeah.
tell by the crib behind
I
me,
was just
there's
gonna say you're about to have a baby.
yeah. So I know my time is gonna be sparing pretty soon. So
Yes.
I'm trying to get as much done as possible and delegate a few tasks to Ryan and Den, so that way, you know, once the end of January is here and I come out of hibernation, we can start doing a few things.
Right. Oh, that's good, man. Yeah, you got a good plan. Yeah.
Hey, I'm
That's
trying.
cool. When's the baby due?
The 26th
Oh shit. Of this month.
of this month.
Whoa, bro. Christmas baby. Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, not for me. It's more for the baby. Like when they get older.
Yep.
I mean, everyone that I've come in contact with is like, hey, you know, my cousin or my brother, my aunt, you know, their birthday's near
Yep.
Christmas, and you know they hate it because they always get lumped in. Don't lump it in. You
Well,
know.
I mean, what is the answer to that? Because my daughter, my oldest daughter, lives in Utah.
Hmm.
Her son's birthday was yesterday. He just
Okay.
turned 3. You know, my grandson, and he, you know, it's close enough to Christmas that she would get those same comments from friends, and you know, it's still far enough away, like whatever. But I mean, what is the fix for that? So if your son or daughter is born on the 26th,
Right.
like how do you fix that? What do you do? Not celebrate their birthday on their birthday, or what do you know? Like I don't know.
I mean, it's like
There's no
I
easy.
yeah, there's definitely no easy answer. There's no easy way out, and I definitely wouldn't give them birthday presents on Christmas because it's like, haha, you know, Christmas, happy birthday, you know. But I, they probably will end up getting, you know, a few special presents on their birthday,
Yeah.
and the rest of it'll probably be on Christmas because it's like, hey man, you know, I ain't made out of gold. You know, money don't
Right.
grow on trees. Um,
Yeah. Right.
but yeah, I mean, they'll probably hate me forever, but I feel like that's kind of normal until they get into their 20s,
Oh,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
God, we got
Oh,
a long way.
I mean, all my kids are. My youngest one is 21, so all my kids are in their 20s,
Hmm.
and I think they're starting to just in the last 2 years get over. Like get along with me better. You
Hmm.
know, so they're out of the house, so they're away, and they're not like Uh, I was a little overbearing as a dad,
Hmm.
so it was. I think they were glad to, So they finally started calming down and like,
Yeah.
we're good. We have a good relationship. But yeah, definitely, I was the same way. Teenage stuff, and then I went in the military right after high school, and it took me a couple years after being out of the house to appreciate some of the things that my parents did.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's it's kind of funny because you know, to an extent, like as soon as you started talking about being overbearing, I just started thinking about my dad. He was like he was a military man too,
Yep.
and yeah,
Well,
it's around the
especially
same
that
thing.
long. If he was in that long,
Hmm.
it's like that's definitely part of him. Like
Oh, for
it's
sure.
hard to separate that. When you come home, when you come home, like you're still in that mode. You
Hmm.
know, yeah.
He's a big softie though. Now that there's like a plethora of grandchildren, he's a big softie. I'm the
Oh, that's
youngest of
good.
four,
Oh,
and
okay.
our I mean it'll be my first baby, but it'll be number 9 for grandkids.
Oh shit, nice.
Yeah, so I mean our family's freaking huge. Trying to get at one
Yeah.
table for Thanksgiving or Christmas is it is a feat.
Now, do you guys take turns going to different people's houses for like the holidays?
That would be nice, but no. No, I mean we've always been at my parents, and
Oh, okay.
my mom was trying to push it on to my sister, um, but it just hasn't happened. It'll probably happen within the next couple of years. We'll probably end up at someone else's house, but
Gotcha.
for now it's just good old Padres. We're over there. Hmm.
We do. So my wife and I. we're originally from Cleveland, Ohio. And we moved
Okay.
down here to South Carolina 15 years ago. My in-laws, her parents live down here. That's, when we moved down. So they've been down there like 30 years. And so they're about 5 miles away from us.
Right.
So very close. So we've been swapping Thanksgiving here, Christmas there, vice versa the next year kind of thing.
Hmm.
Well, this year, her mom and dad are like, they're getting older and they're like, can you do both? Because we don't want to,
Hmm.
they don't want to host it anymore. They just want
Yeah.
to show up. So it gets to be a lot for them because my wife and I have 5 kids. 4 of them live here in South Carolina, close. And then one of my sons that's here has 2 kids, little kids. So we get together, and of course they all have somebody with them,
Hmm.
right? So my son's married, my daughter's married, my youngest daughter, she's got married last year, and then so her husband, my son-in-law, has 3 sisters. So they'll show up, and then his dad will come over because he loves the food, and
Hmm.
and so it's like we'll have 25, 30 people at our party. So so my mother-in-law asked if we could do it, both. So we were like, okay, we're gonna do Thanksgiving. Well, then my 2 of my sons, actually 3 of my sons, bought a house in the last 13, 14 months.
Okay.
So uh, one of them they're like 15 minutes away. And I said, Colton, he's actually the one I talked into
Hmm.
being on the review channel. I said, hey, you guys want to do Christmas since this will be your first Christmas at your new house.
Hmm.
And he's like, yeah, we'll do Christmas. So I'm like, bet. I told my wife, I was like, hey, Colton's doing Christmas. She's like, yes.
Got off the hook. Good man. Good man.
So all we got to do is we're bringing a bunch of food and shit, but
Hmm.
we still help clean up, but it's not the same.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
have it. Yeah.
This past year for Thanksgiving was the first year where a lot of us started cooking and bringing the food
Okay.
in.
Yeah.
And my mom just took care of the turkey and my dad's mashed
Nice.
potatoes. But yeah, we're slowly getting there for
Yeah.
sure. We're slowly.
That's cool.
Hmm.
Yeah. So your dad, he lightened up over the last few years.
Yeah, yeah. So he damn, I'm trying to think. When did he retire? It's within the last 6, 7 years.
Okay.
Is that right? Damn. If any of my
Does he ha-
family sees this, they're gonna be like, "Yo, you're way off." Um,
well,
but
hey, listen, if any of if your family watches this or hears this, uh, you're busy. Okay. You've been busy. You're taking care of a bunch of shit. Do they all know what you do as far as the airsoft stuff?
to an extent, I
Okay.
never go like super in depth, only because I mean
It's not their thing.
it's definitely not their thing. My mom hates guns.
Oh shit.
And yeah, so like I tell them like, hey, like last year I traveled a lot, so I told them like, hey, I'm going here for a few weekends. If you call, like, this is what's going on. Um, and then it's not until I like post something on Facebook where they're like, oh shit. So that's what you were talking about. I was like, yes, that's exactly what I was talking about.
Nice.
Yeah, it's become more legit, if you will, this past year than in years past.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure. The first time you bring it up, they're like, "What? That thing that for
Hmm.
little kids or something?"
Yeah, yeah. It's like I actually so the first like big championship I did 2 years ago. Excuse me. My parents came because it was an outdoor field. Um, and yeah, they came, they watched everything, and they
Oh
were
shit.
like really taken back about like how everything went. And I remember at the very end talking with my mom and my dad. I was like, my mom said, Keegan, this is really cool, but I still have no idea what's going on. Like, all right, well, you know what? It's a step in the right direction.
Right. No kidding.
Yeah, yeah. No, she it's just funny. I don't know how else to explain it. She's so detached from anything gun related. So even to the point, so I got a VR headset and I
Yeah.
play paintball on it. So I
Nice.
decided one day I was gonna go over and be like, "Hey guys, I really want you to check this out. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" My dad was loving it. He was like, "Hell yeah, let's go playing paintball." And my mom was like, "No, I'm not doing it." And it's like, "Mom, they're not real people. Like, I just put like little robots in there so you can just shoot them." She's like, "No, I won't do it." And I was like, "All right, well, here's the practice things. Like, you're just shooting some bells." She was like, "Okay, I can do that." And the biggest smile when she heard the little ding, it was just wonderful.
Oh
Oh my
shit.
god, it was really cool. And I'll never let her, let that down because,
Oh,
like,
for
she
sure.
shot something, whether it be virtual or not. I got her to do it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Yeah, my mom was the same way, man. Like growing up, she was
Mm-hmm.
really against guns and all that kind of stuff. And my dad got me a BB gun when I was 12,
Mm-hmm.
and man, she was pissed. And man, I love this thing. I went out in the woods, and I was shooting at shit, and really didn't have a whole lot of firearms experience,
Right.
like none really, before I went in the military. So when I came back from boot camp, I'm like, y'all need to learn how to shoot. Okay. It's important to know and blah, blah, blah. So I have two sisters. I'm the middle child in between. I have an older and younger sister. And they're like, we don't want to touch any of those guns. We don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
that. And so I forced them. I took them to a shooting range, um, indoor shooting range. And we're just shooting a couple pistols. I had a 38, something real
Mm-hmm.
easy to shoot. And so my older sister, when I took her, I took each of them separate. We're standing there. I mean, she is so like this when we walk down the stairs into the
Mm-hmm.
bunker, the shooting range, and she's got the things on, and it's like still really loud. She's like, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
my God." So there's like four people that, shooting. So there's a guy in a stall next to us, and he's shooting a semi-auto pistol. So we're on the right side of him. So she's
Mm-hmm.
standing kind of behind me a little bit, watching me, show like, "Hey, do this." He shoots, and the hot casing comes up over and goes down the back of her shirt, like on her neck.
Ooh.
So already she's like, like about to freak out. And
Yeah.
this thing hits her, and it's still a little warm, obviously when it
Mm-hmm.
comes out. So she fucking flips, bro. I had to like calm her down for 5 minutes before, but I made her stand there and shoot this gun. So she did fine. My younger sister, I brought the 38, had her start on that. She was like, okay. Well, I had brought my 12 gauge. So I
Mm.
put a new choke in it, and I was trying to, set up. So anyway, I was like, oh, you want to try this one? She's like, no, that thing's, whatever. I was like, oh, it's super easy. Watch. I just did a real quick shot. And I
Right.
had like bird shot, something really light. And so she's like, oh, okay. So man, listen, she goes in and, of course I know how to shoot it. And and she does it, and it just wrecked her shoulder, and she was like, oh, she hated me for like 2 weeks. But yeah, my mom was the same way. So a couple years ago, we started our YouTube channel about almost 4 years ago. It'll be
Okay.
4 years in April. So a couple years ago, she came down here from Ohio. She stayed with us for like a week
Mm-hmm.
in the summer. I think it was for my daughter's high school graduation.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I got her to shoot an airsoft gun. So I set up. We had a big party, so I
Mm-hmm.
set up a table out here in the backyard, and I set up some targets on the other side. And I don't know, I think we had 5 or 6 random airsoft pistols, green gas
Mm-hmm.
pistols. I can't remember what. Oh shit, they were. Anyway, we got them from Mystery Box,
Okay.
from like the BOAs from
Mm-hmm.
Evike or whatever. So anyway, I set them all up. My mom actually came down there and was like, she was watching everybody. She's like, "Oh, I think I want to try that." And I was like, "What? You were against all?" And she's like, "No, it looks fun, because there's no loud bang,
Right.
obviously, like
Right.
a real gun." So she's like, "Oh," and she actually hit the target a couple times. Like she loved it. She's like, "I would like to do that again sometime." So it's like, yeah, I won you over. Okay.
Right. It only takes one.
Right.
All it takes. And then it just festers from there.
So let me ask you, what do you think it would take to get um, CSL and Speed QB to set up some kind of tournament with, I don't know how many teams would be. I have no clue. And just know that I really don't know a whole lot about
Mm-hmm.
what you guys do, how many teams there are, all the different game modes or whatever for tournament style play and all
Right.
that. But what would it take to get, like, what would we have to do? Well, what would have to, not we, but what would have to happen for everybody to get in that?
Um, I mean, it could be really simple or it could be really complicated.
Right.
It's I mean, I'm willing to do damn near anything,
Yeah.
honestly. But for us in SpeedQB in particular, and it would just have to be, you know, some sort of compromise on format.
Okay.
Whatever they
Like
want to
rules or
do,
whatever.
right?
Okay.
And then once it gets to that point, it comes down to consistency. So you have to have some sort of legitimate season schedule, whether it be, something that I'm doing on the East Coast, something they're doing on the West Coast, and then we kind of meet in the middle to make everything work. It's possible, but you have to give people enough time to, one, build that kind of community, and then to kind of build up both series and let people know, like, hey, we're coming together to do this big national thing. You're either in it or you're not. But I do not think it would be that easy.
Yeah.
And my wife would probably tell me that I'm as stubborn as a mule, which is probably to an extent. And I'm dead set on a few things. And for example, like for the CSL, I don't use mag adapters in our format for pistols. So you'll see some people with like the M4 mags on the bottom of their pistol hooked up to an HPA line, whatever. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that, but SpeedQB allows it, and I think that would probably be.
They allow it in tournaments?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I think that's always been the hill I'm gonna die on, and everybody in the CSL already knows this. So.
So basically, what that does is you never have to reload.
I am more or less when now modern mid caps, the EPM ones, right? They have 250 rounds. Jesus. How often are you reloading a 250 round magazine when you're using a pistol? No. Like, unless the game starts, you shoot and you don't stop until that game is over.
Yeah, like a paintball match where they're like, the whole time, cover fire and all that shit.
I really don't see you going through more than a match. Like, it would be very, very difficult. So for
a lot of these like bigger teams, like let's say SYG, these guys, when they play tournaments, I'm asking because I honestly don't know. Yeah. So, do some of these really good players? Do they really run? Do they run straight mags or do they run like HPA huge mags where they don't have to reload kind of thing?
So
what's the common?
I think when you get to God, and I'm gonna get massacred for this too. When you get to the more elite teams, right? The teams that are constantly performing at a really high level.
Yeah.
I don't see a ton of them running the mag adapters. For example, LTD, they use gas mags for everything. Your standard mag that you get with your high kappa or some aftermarket ones, whatever, but that's all they're using. Right. Some of the SYG guys, when I saw them at EA Fest, I want to say it was the same way. My guys on TSA, same thing. Murder Inc. guys, same thing. But
Yeah.
once you get into the more broad spectrum of teams, the majority of them want to run mag adapters. And that's been the biggest backlash I get since I don't allow them. They're like,
Oh wow.
I got all this gear, I have this Gucci pistol, and now you're telling me I can only use gas mags? Like, what am I supposed to do? Gas mags are expensive. They are expensive. But when you look at the grand scheme of the sport itself, like, it's not that
That's
bad. You
no,
know,
that's a small price because you're already running all this expensive gear,
right. I
and
mean,
that's an easy swap to me. If I had a gas mag, or if I had this adapter and I had all this, the tank, whatever, I have it HPA tapped. I mean, most people I've talked with, they'll have an HPA tap
mhm,
pistol, and they'll also have regular.
mhm.
Like they have multiple guns.
Yeah.
Um, like what? It's not a hard thing to just swap it out, right?
No, not at all. It's actually quite simple
Yeah.
because you take your adapter with your line and your tank, you literally put it to the side and just grab the other mags. So I
So the tap is actually in the mag, in the
mhm,
M4 mag. It's not in
yeah.
the gun.
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well,
But
we actually fired one of those. One of my buddies had a same thing set up with AAP01,
yep.
and he had an M4 adapter thing
Hmm.
with his tank. He actually brought it over here for one of our videos. That's right. It was on the mag. So it's literally just take the mag out and put a regular gas mag in it.
That's it.
Well, what is the issue?
Well, it becomes preference.
Does it shoot a lot different? Like way different? Like
So
enough to notice?
the biggest gripe, green gas is variable. So it's like depending on what the temperature is. If it's warm, chances are your gas is going to expel pretty good. You should be relatively consistent with your FPS.
Yeah.
But once it gets colder, that changes.
Yeah.
And that's where HPA can be really good. Like you
I
can
gotcha.
equalize everything, which is
Hmm.
fine. But to be fair, all the events are between April and September. It is
Right.
the warmest months on the East Coast. I don't care if you're in the far north or if you're in
Right.
the south, so it really shouldn't be that big of a variable. There's other things you can do too. I mean, shit, man, when I played in January in an event, I got hand warmers, stuck them in my chest rig, and kept all my gas mags nice and toasty.
What? There
My
you go.
chest was on fire, but but my mags were good. I didn't have to worry about them just shooting a ton of gas out or my
Right.
FPS changes.
Okay.
Everything was consistent.
Huh. Well, there you go. So that's a fucking pro tip right there. Whoever's watching. All
You're
right.
welcome.
That one's free. The next one's going to cost you. Okay.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, bro. I'm really really interested in seeing what you're doing grow over the next year. So I would love to have you on again
Hmm.
in a few months. I know you're going to be busy as hell. Once you start the season, maybe
Yeah.
after you start going, it doesn't take a long time. One of your nights where the baby's
Right.
not crying and you're yeah, where you've gotten some sleep. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
My wife and I have 5 kids, so we know the struggle. So once everything calms down a little bit, maybe in summertime, I'd love to talk with you again.
Yeah.
I would honestly, man, I would love to see, and I know a lot of people, yourself included, and I'm sure this is something that. Who's the guy that runs Speed QB? Is it Roy? Is that his name?
Roy. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't met him, and I haven't. I just actually reached out to him recently, like in the
Mhm.
last couple of days, about being on here because I want to see what I want to see a tournament. I want to see a national tournament. I want to see, who's the best East or West,
Mhm.
whatever. So anyway, but I would love to have you on again in a few months and see how it's
For sure.
going. And yeah, anyone that's watching or listening, definitely go check this guy out, CSL on Instagram. And then you have a YouTube channel as well.
Yes. Competitive Speedsoft League on Instagram. if you by chance are on Facebook. It's the same thing, CSL Airsoft or competitive Speedsoft League, whichever it is. Live stream events are going to be a thing next year, so you can watch it from the comfort of your home. We will have an event in Virginia and Florida. You can take your pick. Virginia might be closer. It's Southern Virginia too, so it's not like you're driving all the way up into the DC area.
Right.
So if you want to come by and watch an event, by all means. Anyone else that is interested in trying to play, I am pretty good about putting updates out and how things are going to be going. A schedule will be coming within the next, hopefully, 2 weeks with official dates and locations, all that jazz, and do rulebook changes. I'm trying to think of all the things that are about to happen in the very near future. If you're a captain of a team, definitely hit me up on Instagram. We have a captain's chat. That's where literally all the newest updates. I just sent one today to the captains. New rule change. No one else even knows about it yet. But you get all the updates on rule changes, sometimes merch, scrimmages that are getting set up at different fields, things of that nature. So it is a wonderful resource.
Sweet. Yeah, definitely, man. Well, I appreciate you, brother. It was great talking with you, and hope to talk with you again soon. Yeah.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
See ya.